Disclaimers. I do not have any actual beef with anyone mentioned in the video. Please do not harass or send hate to anyone mentioned. This video and the hybrid or hybrids are purely made for entertainment purposes. With all that out of the way, let's get to the video. Hello everyone, this is Cooldinos and welcome back to a new Great Hybrid War video. How's everyone doing? I'm going to give everyone a brief overview of the past few months on what I was up to for hybrid shenanigans after my third created species. As I was creating more hybrids and improving on some of them as I go, I got notified of a special video that was posted by Dreadmir. From his channel, I heard that a new challenge was announced, the Great Hybrid Tournament, as well as the ground rules being established for this new challenge. The arena that our creatures will be fighting in is called the Venom Pit, which, interestingly enough, can morph to a variety of environments to at least suit the preferred habitat needs of each fight. So this way, one combatant doesn't have a significant environmental edge over another. For this tournament, and to give a more summarized version, everyone participating has to create a hybrid with a Cenozoic animal as the base, with said hybrid having to be above the 500-pound minimum and the maximum being at 25 tons, combined weight as well if it's a pack, along with the other general rules of Great Hybrid Wars. Hybrids would be judged based on certain factors, such as congruency, using only real animals in the genome, and no, we're not using Jurassic franchise animals, those are not allowed either. The weight limits, like I just mentioned a moment ago, and etc. With the most unique of all of them, in my opinion, would have to be the style and entertainment factor, as these hybrids will be fighting in an arena and being spectated by an audience. Of course, though, if the hybrid breaks a rule, such as having fictional creatures or human DNA, attacks the audience or tries to flee the arena, etc., they'll be disqualified. I was unsure what to make at first, due to a variety of Cenozoic animals to choose from. But I did have a general idea once I got around what I want to make. Unlike my previous hybrid creations, for larger hybrid wars to a degree, I decided to create a land-based carnivore from the Cenozoic, a land crocodilian. Today, and like usual, I will showcase the genetic contributors that make up the hybrid's genome and what each of these animals provide, and showcase to you all my newest creation. Before we continue with the video, make sure you guys like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's free and it really helps my channel. I plan to get 1,000 subs by the end of 2026. Anyways, without any more delays, let's get right to cooking. The first animal in the genome is one that may surprise most of you. And no, I'm not using something like Purosaurus. Even though I was tempted to use Borinosuchus as the base, I decided, with a bit of help and advice, to use something else entirely as the base genetic contributor, the Bovarisuchus. Now, this planocranid crocodiliform serves as the base for this hybrid, and a rather interesting trait about these animals, including Bovarisuchus, is that these animals have blunt claws that act like hooves, similar to those of primitive ungulates, as well as having an ungulate stance. For context, ungulate means walking on its tiptoes, especially on hooves or hoof-like nails. The second genetic contributor that is implemented the genome is the Cuban crocodile. This modern crocodilian brings quite a decent bit to the table, in my opinion. It largely contributes to enhancing the armor, or the ossiderms, of the hybrid, which allows for better defense in some areas, while the creature still retains its mobility, and large squamosal bones that give it a more horned appearance, which is especially prominent in males, the upper temporal fenestra, as well as the proper musculature that helps to manage and distribute the stresses inflicted on its skull by jaw muscle contractions, and the encouragement for possible pack behaviors. The third animal is another extant crocodile species, the saltwater crocodile. This animal provides the most advanced vision, or visual senses, among crocodilians thanks to their tapetum lucidum, and also for their heightened olfactory senses, which allows them to have a broad and powerful sense of smell. They also contribute to an enhanced immune system, as crocodilians have robust immune systems. Up to this point, my crocodilian hybrid seems to be not so bad. However, it runs into one small problem. It's too light. Its base contributor weighs only around 60 to 80 kilograms, or 132 to 176 pounds, and this is based on skull measurements. This places the animal well under the 500-pound minimum for the tournament, which is where the fourth, and especially the fourth, and fifth genetic contributors come into play, and both are sebecid mesoeocrocodilians, the Barinasuchus and Iberosuchus. These crocodilians, or crocodiliforms, both bring different traits to the table, with the Barinasuchus contributing to a larger body size and mass, as well as the necessary adaptations to support these larger sizes. We'll also be modifying the limbs, not the nails or the stance, to support the weight and participate in extended chases. Now, as of Iberosuchus, it actually provides something interesting. It has strong collagen bonds that are in between the skin and the osteoderms, which enhances the armor of our crocodilian. Also, we'll be adding the infamous blade teeth to the hybrid as well, thanks to the two sebecids in the genome, with Barinasuchus and Iberosuchus. These teeth are quite serrated and have similar adaptations to some theropod dinosaurs. This actually works surprisingly well and is pretty congruent, considering that Bovarisuchus, Iberosuchus, and Barinasuchus are all crocodiliforms as well as being fully terrestrial predators. The sixth and last crocodilian contributor is a crocodilian you guys are more than likely familiar with on my channel, the good old reliable West African dwarf crocodile. This animal contributes largely to the armor that is present in the underbelly, as well as enhancing the other osteoderms or armor in the body in general. I was going to use something else, which would be the Griposuchus. However, I found out that that extinct crocodilian or gharial didn't have armor in the underbelly, so that's why I went back to the West African dwarf crocodile. Now, the rest of the contributors that follow may seem rather unusual, but they all serve a unique role in the hybrid's biology and are rather unique in their own right. The seventh contributor is the bar-headed goose. This bird species typically flies in extremely high altitudes, high in the mountains, and is one of the few bird species to fly and live in high altitudes. As a result, this bird had to come up with unique adaptations to overcome these lower oxygen conditions, which we'll be applying to our hybrid. This goose provides highly efficient hemoglobin that binds tightly to oxygen, providing a large heart with many capillaries as well as larger lungs. It also provides overall enhanced stamina thanks to these traits, enabling the crocodilian hybrid to partake in more fast-paced activity and also to prolong fighting. The eighth animal in the genome is not a crocodilian, but rather a lizard that actually has some crocodilian-esque traits. The red-eyed crocodile skink. This syncid lizard actually brings a few things to the table. Firstly, their osteoderms, which is oddly unique among lizards, which resemble that more of a crocodilian's, and hence its name. It may not look like much, but their dorsal osteoderms are rough and keeled, which could be advantageous for our hybrid's defense. So we'll be adding this trait to the dorsal armor, as well as applying some of the armor that this lizard has to the legs, as you can see. There is one last thing that could be intriguing, and could be decent in the style and entertainment aspect of my hybrid, which also ties into their biology, the biofluorescent scales. Biofluorescence should not be mistaken with bioluminescence, which means the organism produces their own light. Biofluorescence means that high-energy light, such as UV light for example, is absorbed into the skin, or in the case of the lizard, the scales, and then re-emitted as low-energy light. This will also be applied to my hybrid, and this last trait especially pops out at night or in the dark. The next two contributors are also lizards. We're going to first meet the frilled neck lizard. Let's cover this guy first. This lizard actually contributes to a few things. It wields small fang-like teeth towards the front of the jaws, as well as a more robust lower jawbone. This particular animal will also contribute to the entertainment and style value to the style and entertainment value as well, just like the red-eyed crocodile skink. As this creature's name suggests, it has a neck frill that could use, which is a large, leathery membrane that can expand dramatically either when it feels threatened or for intimidation, or during courtship for females while opening its mouth. My crocodilian hybrid would be able to utilize this unique trait to its advantage to make itself appear larger towards more powerful and at times especially more intelligent opponents. And it could also be used during the mating season along with biofluorescent scales from the crocodile skink. But that's a video for another day. Now to the 10th contributor, the Parsons chameleon. Now, you may be wondering why this lizard is added in the first place, and you may be wondering if this will cause issues with my hybrid like Hank did a while ago. If you don't remember, Hank was a hybrid meant to challenge Indominus, which did have chameleon genes, only for it to fall short. But I'll explain. Someone did tell me why about this chameleon, why to add it, and I shall briefly explain why. Now with the jaw mechanics, and I apologize for yapping earlier. It's based on how long your jaws and your jaw muscles are. It'll determine how wide the jaw gape could be, or how wide your mouth could open. The longer the muscles, the wider the jaws could open. Much like ceratopsian skulls, or sort of, chameleon crests serve to add muscle attachments, which in turn could make the bite a bit stronger, on top of being able to have a wider jaw gape due to the crest or casque being present. Now, I was adamant on adding, camouflage, which I was told these chameleons could do that, but I'm not 100% certain. But I will use this chameleon in a future hybrid as well. The next two and final contributors are both pre-Cenozoic organisms, as Valis did allow a bit of wiggle room, where anyone participating can have up to 2 animals that are not in the Cenozoic period in the genome. The 11th animal in the genome is Lycosuchus, an early ferocephalian, or early mammal relative, extinct type of therapsid, that lived in the middle to late Permian period. This animal contributes to the double upper canines, or fangs, that it wields on its jaws, which is unique among many animals that do have enlarged canines or fangs. These are actually functional instead of being milk fangs like some cats, like some, fanged animals like the scimitar-toothed cats or the saber-toothed cats. Additionally, because of the earlier contributors that have zyphodont teeth, these fangs will also be serrated. One last thing, this therapsid also contributes in enhancing the temporal fenestra a bit more. I know the Cuban croc already helps with this, but the Lycosuchus enhances this trait a bit more, which contributes to a decently wide gape for the jaws to open. If you don't know what the temporal fenestra is, it's the openings at the top of the skull, as shown in one of the images. And the 12th and final contributor is a rather odd one that I'll be using, the Hatzegopteryx. I know it's a really odd choice, and if you think it may bring some issues to my hybrid, I actually can't really blame you for that. I did have my initial doubts as well. However, I will explain why this pterosaur is in the genome and what it brings to the table. Even though pterosaur bones can be rather fragile, as they are hollow and almost all of it being made of air inside the bones, they can be quite strong at the same time, especially with the largest and heaviest flyer to ever exist. This is due to the unique internal structure of the bones that features a dense network of trabeculae, which are struts and canals in the bone, within thin walls, which makes the bones lightweight yet strong. Because of these unique characteristics inside the bones, we'll be implementing the helicoid inner bone walls, or trabeculae, as well as the spongy bone structures, to handle the stresses inflicted on the bones, since they serve as shock absorbers inside the bones, which will make my hybrid just a bit faster. This trait is also seen in other asdarchids such as Alanka, thanks to the XCT scans of cervical or neck vertebrae. Combining all of these contributors and their respective traits we'll be using together, I showcase to you all my hybrid for Valis's Great Hybrid Tournament, the Imperatosuchus terrestris, or the terrestrial emperor crocodile. The asset shown here is nicknamed Dalton. He does have some siblings that hatched of him as well and can be used in the tourney to assist him. The statistics for both male and female specimens are shown on the screen, and their preferred or ideal habitats are warm and humid forests and wetlands and swamps, as well as marshes. They can tolerate or can be in, but not ideal, habitats will be dry forests, as long as they have an occasional wet season. Completely unsuitable habitats would be tundras and taigas as well as deserts, specifically extremes like those, for example. Now on to the congruency test. 8 out of 12, or 3/4, of the contributors are of archosaur ancestry. 6 out of 12, or half of the contributors, are of crocodilomorpha, and 10 to 11 out of 12 of them are reptiles. Birds technically do count as reptiles, but they are far more advanced, and that's a whole topic for another video which I may discuss about in the future. Now, normally I would go over the flaws of my hybrid like I usually do with the rest of my creations, and I will, of course. However, when I took a good look at it, I really didn't see any major flaws, apart from overall possible weaknesses and doubts that I had. Firstly, the Hatzegopteryx bones. While I don't doubt that they would be relatively strong for a large pterosaur built for flying, I'm not quite sure whether if this is still valid on a fully terrestrial animal. It may very well still could be alright, but I still have my doubts. And as for weaknesses, I didn't find anything too major, but its frilled neck flaps being a possible weakness to where it could be bitten or ripped off, and it wouldn't be able to use its front limbs as a weapon. Possibly. Overall, though, I had a lot of fun creating this interesting croc species. And perhaps I'll showcase this, as well as some other hybrids, both new and old, in a large future scale project that I have in mind. But when that will be is largely to be determined. This did put quite a bit of work for me to do in such a short amount of time due to the deadline, and I rushed to get this video out as soon as possible. And I still have to help my dad with all this. And unfortunately for my dad, I may not be able to get a video, let alone a post in time for him, because he wanted to participate as well. But if I'm not able to do that for him, as well, specifically for making his hybrid on time for the tournament, I'll make it up to him, I promise. If you're watching, Dad, Lure and A, I'll make it up to you, I promise. Nevertheless, though, it is a pleasure to make more unique and crazy animals. Oh, and one last thing before I forget. Valis Dreadmir, if you're watching, I did notice that you were feeling ill in your video announcing your tournament. As courtesy of the Harrison Foundation and from the bottom of my heart, please have some medicine, which we'll be sending over to you along with my submission. Like some others who are doing the same thing, I'll be doing so as well, to help with your current situation. I'll also be shipping my hybrid and his siblings over to the tournament as well, and we'll be spectating. We'll be watching. Well, I believe that is all for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe to not miss out on more content. And it really helps my channel when you do subscribe. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.